of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not sure who's feeding back, but okay. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the committee may do so for up to 3 minutes. All right, then. On to our agenda. Here to present our first agenda item is Drain Commissioner Dahl. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to increase the hours for the special part-time drain maintenance worker from 936 hours annually to 1,288 hours annually at a cost of $4,932 for the 2020 budget year, and to authorize the Drain Commissioner to enter into an agreement with the Berry County Courthouse Employees Association to extend the temporary increase in hours beyond 120 days.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Gibson, support by Geiger. The floor is yours.
We looked at this, we were hoping to get this started in February because we had such an easy winter. For us in the summer, we'll have a lot more daylight hours to get working on the drains. We just finished one section of the Bullhead drain that maintenance guy and I cleared better than just shy of a mile of trees down in the drain. We got a lot of this stuff to do, and it's a whole lot cheaper to do it this way than it is to have to hire everything out. We also got him taking the monitorings down to Pine Lake, so we don't have to pay an engineer to do that. So I figured if we can get him up to 29 or less hours a week for 6 to 7 months, that keeps us under the Affordable Care Act, where if we go average over 29 hours a week, then they become eligible for insurance. And as long as we stay under 10 8-hour days in a month, then that stays underneath the requirements for retirement. So we figured that's the best place to be.
Questions for Tammy?
Yep.
This is up to you to keep track of the two things you just said for
Yes.
retirement and insurance.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Did you say the 29 hours, anything less than that, and there's no insurance either?
Correct.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, everybody knows that's a pretty good chunk of change, so. At this point, I think Luella figured that out. He's at $12 an hour, and it costs us about $13.40 an hour. If we ended up having to pay insurance and retirement, that goes up significantly.
Dan, did you have a question?
So he worked, or that person worked 936 hours before annually?
He could up to that. We haven't, a lot of the time, we haven't quite hit the 19. There's another section in the bargaining unit or the association that you can do. The normal part-time is 20 hours or more, and I asked Michael not to lock us into that because like the week we had drain conference, he could only work 2 days with us, so we can't get it to that 20-hour mark. So I'd just soon not get locked into that. Then we got to figure out a way to spend the 20 hours. And by drain code, the only thing that we can pay back is when he's working, that we can account for that time directly on the drains. They can't be doing filing or anything like that unless you can specifically say 15-minute increments are on a specific drain.
Vivian and then Ben.
So, because you're out in the field a lot, and we know that with the purchase of the equipment and stuff, but what do you think all of that has saved?
I know one specific deal, the Little Thorn Apple, the part that we cleaned this winter, which is M43 south on down to Aid Behrens' property. Aaron Snell had almost $9,000 figured for that. We did it for $1,250. That's just the Bullhead that we just did, about a mile. We just got bids over in Eaton County on the Collier Mud Creek, and that came in at $5.50 a foot. We just did this for, what do we have, $600 into him plus chainsaw for a mile. So, I mean, you're going from 20 or 30,000 down to $1,000. So I think it's a lot better way to spend our money.
And this person is who's working on that, right?
Yep. We got, the guy that's doing it right now has a CDL, so he's legal to transport. He's also run equipment for a construction company that we use, so we're pretty lucky that way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Why do you need, what's changed between a year ago and now that you need extra help?
It's working better. Well, and also we've found 3 more miles of the Collier Mud Creek. We found out that the creek from Nashville all the way to Thornapple River, or Thornapple Lake, is the Thornapple Drain 1, which nobody believed was there, but we found it legally. We've found 2 more drains, and this seems to be working and saving money, so we just soon expand the project.
I just don't see the cost savings in adding personnel to a program that seems to be saving money. I mean, how are we saving money by adding staff?
We got 50 years of catch-up to do on these drains. I mean, I can show you a whole lot of drains that, and I'm not saying it's neglect, it's just nobody got out there and got them cleaned out. And we're trying to play catch-up, and I can't do it by myself.
Don't you have more water than you've ever had?
We've got a lot more water. We got plenty of water too, but a lot of it, like the Collier Mud Creek, Tammy's got pictures of before and after, 100-foot stretch. You got 40, 50 trees down, and it's that one right there we couldn't get the mini in on. If we can get the mini in, we can do it a little quicker, but that one is swamp on both sides. Not swamp. We just got a lot of backed up water. We took better than a foot of water out of that drain the first day, so, because you could see the ice here, and now it's laying like this. So we were pretty happy about it.
Is there always two people on the job site for safety reasons?
Yes. I don't let somebody go out without me out there unless, there's a few jobs that we can, but typically I go out there with them because with Berry County drains, you get in the wrong spot and you might get stuck, and that would not be good.
Okay.
Dan?
When we got the excavator,
Yep.
you said that's saving you a lot of time and
Yep.
a lot of work.
Yep.
But yet we're adding more hours.
Yep.
Man hours.
Yep.
Is it because you've got to get all these drains that we didn't do before taken care of?
Yeah.
So do you expect that in the future that's going to come back then and not have to be paying that amount? Once
Possible
that's,
with preventative maintenance.
I doubt in my lifetime. I know that sounds terrible, but we've got,
well, I don't have a scope on
Yeah.
what it takes. Okay, so I'm just asking you.
we've got drains that are anywhere from a half a mile to 14 miles long. And we got better than 240 of them last count 20 years ago. And every one of them, not every one of them, the new drains may not need work, but most of the old drains do. So if we can, we're going to go back to the 19 hours in the winter on this because December, January, and February are pretty cold to be out there. So, but the other time when we got decent sunny days and long days, we can just keep plugging away on them.
But
And anybody's invited to come join us.
Are we guaranteed that he's going to get 1,288 hours then? Or is that just the maximum?
That's the maximum.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to increase the hours for the special part-time drain maintenance worker from 936 hours annually to 1,288 hours annually at a cost of $4,932 for the 2020 budget year, and to authorize the Drain Commissioner to enter into an agreement with the Berry County Courthouse Employees Association to extend the temporary increase in hours beyond 120 days. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The item is approved.
Thank you. And we are looking for volunteers. And I'll put in a big bump for you guys looking at the county jail. if there's an option to build a little bit bigger one and get us inmates that we can use on the drain. I know that sounds terrible, but honest to God, Allegan County fields 2 to 5 inmates every day on their drains at a cost, they pay the jail $2 an hour for every inmate. And that would be such a godsend for us. We had 5 of them 2 years ago, but right now we don't have any.
I'm not sure I can arrange for the criminals to, commit crimes that would fall under that category for you. Because, there's certain limitations at what they can do, Jim.
I know. Thanks anyway.
It's up to them.
Just something to think about.
Next before us is Mr. McManus. At this time, the chair would recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval. At this time, the chair would take a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to appoint Jennifer Heinzman, President of the Berry County Chamber and Economic Development Authority, to serve on the Berry County Brownfield Authority for the remainder of a 3-year term beginning 12/31/20.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Parker, second by Connor. The floor is yours.
Sure. So, since Ms. Heinzman has taken over as the Economic Development Director, the Economic Development Director has always been appointed to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority since its inception. So this is a natural transition. She's taken over for Travis. She should be appointed, and we need to fill that board.
Any questions? Hear no discussion. The question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to appoint Jennifer Heinzman, President of the Berry County Chamber and Economic Development Authority, to serve on the Berry County Brownfield Authority for the remainder of a 3-year term beginning on December 31st, 2020. No, ending, sorry, for the remainder of a 3-year term ending on December 31st, 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The item is approved.
Thank you.
At this time, our next agenda item says me, and it would be to, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Craig Stolzenberg to serve in the position of Citizen at Large on the Berry County Tax Allocation Board for a 1-year term that begins on April 1st, 2020 and expires on March 31st, 2021.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Gibson, support by Parker. I believe that Craig is the only citizen to apply, and since he was he's the incumbent, rather than drag him in here and re-interview him, it just made sense to recommend that he be reappointed. Any discussion? Hearing none, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval to reappoint Craig Stolzenberg to serve in the position of Citizen at Large on the Berry County Tax Allocation Board for a 1-year term that begins April 1st, 2020 and expires on March 31st, 2021. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The item is approved. Our next item is Commissioner Geiger. Let me read the motion. At this time, the question before the committee is to recommend to the Board of, At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached letter supporting the Village of Nashville's grant application to the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, EGLE, and to authorize the chairperson to sign.
So moved?
Support.
Moved by Connor, supported by Geiger. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Village of Nashville has been on the upswing over the last 10 years, and they are actively seeking more grant opportunities. So at the last time I was at their village meeting, I said that the Board of Commissioners on a pretty regular basis expresses its support for local governments that go out for these things, and they jumped right on it. So the only thing that is changing is the grant that I thought was to the to EGLE is actually to the MEDC. So I just have a couple of changes to the letter, specifically just the where it's addressed to. That goes to the MEDC. Instead of infrastructure on the second line, we changed that to community. And the last line we changed to the necessary resources to thrive for generations, and then just leave it at that. I'd be happy to provide the committee with an updated letter next week.
Thank you.
Would you excuse me,
Go ahead.
would you remind me what that acronym stands for, MEDC?
Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you.
So they aren't applying for a grant through Eagle?
No.
Okay. So the question, we would move this to items for discussion next week so that we can work with the amendment.
And I did talk with the village DPW director, and he can give us a copy of the grant application if you'd like it next week.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, the question before the committee is recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of the attached letter supporting the Village of Nashville's grant application to the MEDC and to authorize the chairperson to sign it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Was there a nay? Oh, okay. The item is approved.
It did sound like it.
Yeah, I thought Dan was,
I thought Dan was
I
the
did too.
center there for a minute.
well, you got
Well,
a
I
beef
would
with
just-
Nashville?
Do you need to?
We are gonna take a break.
I thought maybe you might have needed to put, that it's not gonna be the same as what it is now in the motion, so.
Well, I changed the word when I read it the second time to the MEDC, but Ben will have an amended letter for us next week. And maybe we should have at least the title cover page or whatever for their grant application.
Absolutely. I'll make sure the board has it.
Eric Hackman is scheduled to be here today. He cannot be here till 10 o'clock, so we are going to take a break and wait for him because I think his comments to us are going to be important. You never know how long discussion is going to be, and so I didn't want to exclude him. He had a mandatory meeting this morning and couldn't be here till 10, so.
Would you want to do any more
15-minute break.
public comments so the people wouldn't have to stay and wait as long? It's up to you.
I may have some fill-in available for Parks and Rec. Park Commission.
Fine, it's up to you.
I'm gonna check with Dan Patton first.
Okay, let's take a 10-minute break and we'll come back.
And did you want to?
I got one